All right, welcome to the Fix at 6. Sorry for that delay there. I was trying to stream and that's not happening. So here we are. Tonight, I'm going to go over 3 proven tips for you to build muscle. Building muscle or changing your body is not the easiest thing to do. And that's why I chose this topic, so that I can share a couple things that we can implement and make sure we can actually make a change. Because at the end of the day, whether it's losing weight, it's building muscle, we just care that we're actually making progress towards that and that we can see the result that we're going for. So I broke this down into 3 main areas that I really think need to be focused on. And before I jump into that, I'm going to explain some of the benefits of adding muscle to our body. When it comes down to like statements that are really true, if you don't use it, you lose it, is one of the truest statements that there is. And especially when it comes to our body in regards to muscle, I should say. So the reason that as we get older, if somewhat like our bones break a little bit easier, that just comes down from the way that we challenge our body. So our body is directly a result of the stimuluses that we add. So if we're working out a lot and we're challenging the bones of our body, that's signaling to those bones, to our skeletal system, that they need to be nice and strong. So when we work out, when we do resistance training, when we're active, we're telling our body that our bones need to continue to be strong because we're going through, they're taking on gravity and they're taking on forces every day. And for a lot of Americans, when they get to a certain point in their life, maybe they retire, they stop being as active. Maybe they stop going to the gym, or they're just not doing a lot of things that they used to do, or they're at a certain age where we don't do certain activities anymore. And I only air quote it because I really believe age is just a number. It comes down to our choice to continue to be active or not. I'm not saying we should all play football for our entire life and crazy contact sports, but we should continue to be active. And there shouldn't be things we quit just because of the number on our driver's license or our age. So one of the big things for exercise and a reason to continue to do it is our bone health. The other thing is that it's going to continue to regulate our hormones when we're active. This helps signal to our body what signals it should be sending out. So continuing to help our body build and manufacture more muscle. But it's also going to help keep good control on our appetite and also going to help us rest and recover better. I say this to clients all the time. We can't charge a full battery. So if I have a mentally stressful day, but it's not very physically exhausting or it doesn't really challenge my body, and I go to lay into bed at night, it's just like taking my phone, plugging it in. If it's on 100% battery, it's not really going to change much. So if you felt that feeling before, or maybe you get in your bed and you're just looking at the ceiling, you're not that tired, maybe we're not doing enough physically to kind of wring out your body and encourage it to take a deep sleep so we can build and repair. So from a benefit perspective, it's good to build our skeletal system. It's going to keep us healthy. And on the bigger picture, exercise is pretty much the number one thing that we can do to increase our longevity. So it's been proven that 1 hour of exercise adds 3 hours onto our lifespan. So onto the end of your kind of longevity. And that's why it's so important to continue to stress our body with resistance exercise and actually strive to build muscle. So how do we do it? The number one thing, and the first tip I want to talk about, is nutrition. And if you've ever heard like abs are made in the kitchen, I couldn't agree more with the nutrition and what we put in our body being more important, so to speak, than the stimulus. So if you can imagine when we eat food, and that gets broken down, we chew it up, our body, our internal organs break it down, and that becomes available kind of at your body's own Home Depot. And we are what we eat. So you want those supplies at your Home Depot to be high quality. And not only is what we eat broken down and built into that supply, but we need to give our body enough of it so that it's convinced that we can make a change. So when it comes to nutrition, to try to keep it as simple as possible, when we're trying to build muscle, we really want to eat 1 gram of protein for a pound of body weight. So for ease of numbers, if I weigh 100 pounds and I want to weigh 110 pounds, I recommend that you eat what you want to weigh in grams of protein, but you only go up by 5 as far as the increments go. So in grams. So if I weighed 100 pounds, my goal would be to consistently eat 105 grams of protein on my goal towards 110. At the end of the week, I'm going to see where I'm at. Once I can get my weight up those other 5 pounds, now I'm going to eat 110 while I weigh 105 to get to that goal. So we're not going to go from weighing 100 pounds to my goal weight being 170 and eating 170 grams of protein. We want to just be 5 grams ahead of the weight as we go there. Why is this so important? When we talk about those grams of protein and having enough, we need to have enough of a surplus that my body is convinced to use that excess. So what does that mean? Think of at your house. Maybe you really want to do this project. You want to put an addition onto your home. But if your income sources are only barely putting you above the needs that you need to meet, so we're only saving a little bit of money or hardly any, we're just barely above that, you're not really convincing yourself or maybe your spouse that it's a good decision to take that little extra, maybe it's not even enough to do it, and add more. Add something else to your house that could potentially add to expenses, that can add on to other things. Because our muscles are an addition to our body. It's an increasing the size in an area that's now going to demand more energy. If you've heard this before, that muscles are metabolically expensive, meaning they cost a lot of energy to keep. That's why not everyone's walking around like a bodybuilder, because it's not easy to just end up being that big. We have to very strategically make sure we're getting enough food. Try to keep this simple. So when it comes to protein, what I really recommend is we just want to get into a habit of just tracking your protein. We can talk much more about what's the rest of our meals should look like and all that stuff. Ultimately, we want to go for lean protein sources or healthy fats. We want complex carbohydrates. But just worry about the protein for the sake of argument here. If we can start to track that and just keep a running tally, that might sound like work. However, if you can track this a couple times, you probably don't have too many different breakfast meals or too many different lunch meals, and you probably have a variety of dinners that you typically eat within like your week, within your month. So if you can figure out a couple different formulas that get you to where you need to be, now you don't have to track anymore. You just have to be aware of having a combination that gets you there. And this isn't just from the foods that you eat, but also from our nutrition like shakes, protein shake, and things like that. So the next thing we want to talk about is probably the first one that comes to mind for most people. We talk about building muscle. What workout do we do? Well, it'll save you a lot of time. You don't have to search online forever trying to find the perfect workout. It's not so much about the stimulus and the way that we get to it. And I kind of come back to this example that, like sex sells. People want to see new things and exciting things. So it's easy online to get kind of distracted, especially on social media. It's like, this is the best shoulder exercise, or try this new move. And it kind of puts us in this perspective of we're just chasing a certain workout. And that's what will get us to look like these, maybe someone we aspire to be. And, maybe a celebrity makes a big transition for a movie. And it's like, look behind the scenes to see their workout. I think it's more important to have a consistent stimulus and have a way that we overload our body to convince it to add more than it is to have some one-size-fits-all workout. So when it comes down to the exercise component, this can be body weight, this can be with weights, resistance bands, whatever it is. We recommend that people try to incorporate complex or compound movements. So like your squat, deadlift, bench press. Think exercises that work multiple muscles, as opposed to your bicep curl or your tricep extension or a calf raise, things that are more isolated. So we want to build our workout routine with, I would say, about 6 exercises for most people is appropriate. If you need help with the exact programming, please ask us questions. Sam at fixedmedicalgroup.com. Happy to talk you through this. But the thing I want to touch on most importantly, so we kind of hit on all spectrums of workouts, is we have to have some type of, as they say, progressive overload. All that means is that the stimulus needs to change over time. So what it should look like for most people is if we're doing 3 sets of 10, I should struggle to get my last few reps each time so that I need a little bit of a break before I can perform that again and still get 10 reps. Now, it's okay if I end up getting 8, but it was still a real big struggle. And then maybe on the last set, I can only get 7. That's totally fine. It's been proven. We did a study when I was in grad school or undergrad of if we change the weight the whole time so we can still get 10 reps, or if we keep the weight the same, but maybe we get less reps each set, it's still the same as far as muscle stimulus. But similar to tracking the protein, what I'm going to recommend for exercise is we need to track our workouts, at least for a little bit. And if you feel like that's overwhelming, really shouldn't be. But if you haven't been consistent in the gym or just working out, say take this first month, just get consistent, showing up 3 or 4 times a week that we're doing resistance training. Once you're doing that, we're being consistent with our workout. Just what I simply do is in my phone, I have my Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday workouts written out. When I'm taking rest in between my set, I just mark down whether it's reps or a weight that I'm tracking. So that next week when I come back to it, I just know my baseline of where I ended last time and where I want to be. It's pretty easy. Most of the time, people are sitting down in between sets. They're looking at Instagram, checking their email, looking at text. Just put down a number, the weight that you used. So we need to start tracking that. So week by week, we're adding that little bit, because just like we need to give the nutrition to kind of convince our body there's enough to do something extra, when we first work out, our body's going to respond to that stimulus. But then if we never do anything extra, or we don't continue to notch that up a little bit, our body's not convinced to get any bigger or to do any more or add more muscle, because eventually you will normalize to it. Just like if I asked everyone to run a half mile or jog a half mile, and that's all we ever did, that was the max amount. Eventually you'd get really used to it and it would feel pretty easy. So the last thing is recovery. So we've talked about nutrition, how we fuel our body with the right thing. We want to make sure we have enough protein. So 1 gram of protein for a pound of body weight. And I did the example of going up. If I want to weigh less, I'm just going to do 5 pounds less than my current weight. The second part is the stimulus. So to summarize that, we want to have compound movements. We want to be consistent 3 to 4 times a week. Once we get consistent with that, let's say over a month time that you consistently show up to the gym, we want to track, now that you have your baselines, how much weight did I do or how many reps? And then we want to seek to increase that. If it's weight, we go up about 2.5 pounds the next time you do the lift. If it's reps, we're just trying to do a little bit more. And the last part of that is actually our recovery. So we want to stimulate our body, make sure it has the fuel, and then give it the time to repair. So when we sleep, our body builds and repairs itself. We need to make sure we have adequate sleep. For an adult, that's about 7 to 9 hours per night that we want to be sleeping. From coaching a lot of clients over the years, I think one of the biggest things that are missed is someone's perception of how fast you fall asleep, and that you don't wake up until the exact moment you have to get up. And for most of us, it takes a little bit to fall asleep. Even if we feel like it's as soon as our head hits the pillow, it takes a couple minutes or sometimes longer for us to really, our body to reap the benefits of being asleep and being in a repair mode. So make sure you're giving yourself a little bit of a grace period and that you're in bed, I would say about a half hour before is the time you're counting that you're asleep by this time. That way we can get those full 7 to 9 hours and you actually make all the repair that you need. These are the 3 things that have to be part of your formula when it comes to building muscle. You need to get enough protein. We talk about all the other nutrition that has to be there, but if you're not getting enough protein, you're not going to continue to see a change, and the stimulus that you're putting in is not going to be reflected in your body. Second one is making sure we're doing something to stimulate it. So being consistent with our workouts, but progressively adding a little more weight or more reps. And then the last one is making sure that we're getting that recovery. We have to prioritize our sleep and also make sure you're not overtraining. You'll notice I said 3 to 4 days of resistance training, not 7 days in a row. And if you're working out every single day, but we're never giving our body time to recover, that doesn't work either. So hopefully this has been a couple of key tips for you to take away. You have a better understanding of how we can build muscle. And if you have any questions, please reach out to sam@fixedmedicalgroup.com. I'll get back to you within 24 hours and tune in next week so you can get the Fix at 6 next Wednesday. Have a great night.